Hey guys, how's everybody doing? Continuing my Christopher Nolan review series. Here are my thoughts on probably his second most popular movie, Inception. Oh. This movie and the next three movies, I believe, are the only Christopher Nolan movies I have never seen. I have not seen Prestige in a while, and I forgot a few things about it, but that is a movie that I have watched before, but it's been a while. But Inception has never been a movie I've ever watched. I don't know why. It's one of the most iconic films today. It's one of the most praised movies today. It's been one of those movies where everybody says it's one of the best movies of all time, but for some reason I just went, I don't know. I just never watched it. I never owned it at the time. I'd never seen it any streaming anywhere at the time. But then I finally bought it, and it was like last year, and it just sat on my shelf collecting dust, and I just forgot that it ever existed because I forgot that I owned Inception. But I finally checked it out, and I should be kicking myself in the ass. Top of my positives on Inception is the cast. You got the great Leonardo DiCaprio, you got Joseph Levitt, you got Michael Caine in a short role, you got Cillian Murphy, and you got the great Tom Hardy, which was one of the first movies that he was actually in where people really started to come out and love Tom Hardy. I really love this cast. They do everything right. They were all perfectly cast. They all play their characters wonderfully. I think the entire cast in here is great, especially the person that plays Talia al Ghul from The Dark Knight Rises. I forget her name, but then you also got the young girl in here. I forget her actress's name. But to me, the entire cast pulls it off, and they are all perfectly casted. Hell, but what are you gonna do? You got all award-winning actors and actresses here, especially Leonardo DiCaprio, which is a crime that everybody only knows him for Jack and Titanic. Apparently, he played the character that can't fit on a fucking door. What's positive is where it might take me a few minutes to really talk about this, and that's the Inception concept. Now, yes, the title of this movie is what this entire movie is about. Inception, if you don't know what it is, it's where you can go into other people's minds, but not in their mind completely. More into their dreams, where you can go into their dream, you can go into a dream within a dream, within a dream, within a dream. But 5 minutes in the real world, the 5 minutes right now is 1 hour in that world. And if you die in that world, then you come back, you awake, basically. You come awake. And you cannot think about places that you know. You cannot think about places that are important memories to you. You can't think about places that you've been and have a special place in your heart because it will basically corrupt the whole thing, and the person dreaming will not understand where they are, and it basically fuck up with their mind. That's a very great concept, and it has all these rules, which is it's kind of very difficult. Sorry, I almost forgot the word difficult to explain. So please go watch the movie for yourself if you want to learn more about it. And then you got this little thing that's called a totem. You cannot let anybody else hold it or take care of it or anything. And the totem, what you do, you spin it on a table. And if it keeps spinning and spinning and spinning, that means you are dreaming. But if it starts to spin and then fall over, that means that you are in fact awake. And that's a very great concept, where it's a very interesting concept where the way that it spins, like if it keeps spinning when you're in a dream, that means it's a different type of gravity. The type of gravity in that area, like in the real world, the gravity's different, but the gravity in the dream world is totally different. And what they do in this movie as well is where if something goes horribly wrong and they need to wake up, they will put headphones on you when you are asleep, and it will play this little song giving you a hint that you need to try and wake up or something like that. It's a great concept, and I absolutely love what they do with it, especially since it's like a heist movie, which is very cool. And basically, whatever happens in the real world, say like what that happens in the van in this movie when they're falling and they're in a van and they're about to go into the water where Jake's character where he's like fighting this one guy in the hallway, and then and then the whole like thing starts tilting, so he runs on the wall. When he starts to shoot at him, like he shoots forward, but the bullet goes this way. That just shows the concept of Inception and what it does to you when you're asleep. You know that you're in a dream sometimes. Sometimes you have to make sure because you won't know it. It's a great concept. It's a little difficult to explain to you on video, so please just go watch the movie for yourself if you're more interested on it. Really think the characters in this movie are very interesting. To me, the standouts were Cobb, Arthur, Eames, and Fincher, all played by Leonardo DiCaprio. That one guy from The Dark Knight Rises, I'm blanking on his name right now. Tom Hardy and Cillian Murphy. I feel those four characters alone are all interesting and very likable. You get other characters in here who are also very good, but to me, those four were easily the stands out of this movie, and they were the most interesting and a lot of fun to watch, and you felt more suspense for them, especially Cobb's character, who recently lost his wife because they went into this thing called limbo, which limbo is where if you kind of go into like a deep sleep basically, and if you die there, you'll go into limbo, and basically 5 months, not 5 months, like like days or something like that basically feels like 50 years there, which is not very good. And you kind of get lost there, and you have to like think about certain things to get all this made up, and you have all the time in the world. But Leonardo DiCaprio's character Cobb, where his wife was like basically obsessed with it and believed that they were still dreaming and they weren't in the real world anymore. To where she kept wanting to go back and thinking that she was still asleep and needed to wake up, and so what she did is that she basically framed Cobb to where she told him to jump with him on their anniversary, to jump with her, because if he doesn't jump, because she filed a thing saying that he murdered her basically and all that if he did not jump, which is very fucked up in my mind. And you feel sympathy for Cobb, where all these characters are bad guys to where they're pulling off a heist to steal something, which is the story of this movie. They're pulling off a heist to steal something. But it doesn't feel like that. You feel like you're watching great characters and you root for them to actually like win, especially when something bad happens, you go, "Dang it, we really wanted them to win." That's how you know there's good writing and directing and performances with the characters, is where you want your characters to succeed in the movie. And where Cobb, he's a very great character. I really like him. You feel sympathy for him, especially after he's lost his wife, and the whole movie's where he's trying to get back to his kids, which is which is a very sweet thing in my mind, where he's just where he has to pull off this heist so he can go live with his kids and see his kids again now. And then you got Arthur, who's like the genius about all this and kind of like created the concept of the Inception. I really like him. He's a very great character. He explains to the new characters and the audience the what Inception is and how it works. Cobb explains some of it, but Arthur is like the Inception expert, because throughout this entire movie he gives you that he's the one who basically came up with the concept and all that. He's a very great character. I really like him. And Eames, who's played by Tom Hardy, he's kind of like the smartass of this movie. In a way, he's also kind of like the comic relief, where like there's literally a part where they're in a shootout. And he's like, "Don't be scared to use bigger guns, mate." And then he takes out like a grenade launcher and then shoots and he explodes everything. Like I said, he's a smart ass character in this movie, and I absolutely love him. And then you got Fincher, played by Cillian Murphy, who these characters are trying to like question like to what the code is to the safe that they're trying to open throughout the entire movie. He's very cool, and like the relationship with his dying father and his brother. I think he's a great character. He's out of the four, he's probably my favorite besides from Cobb. I really love those four characters, and the rest of the characters that we get here, like Michael Caine's professor. I think since he's not in the movie much, but I really like him in this movie for what he has to do. But Michael Caine is always great in roles with Christopher Nolan movies that he's worked with. I really like the cast and characters, that every single cast member played their characters perfectly in my mind. And if I were to ever rewatch this movie, it probably would be for the characters. Like the story. Oh god, excuse me. The story is where I already said is a heist film where these characters are pulling off a heist to find something, which I will not spoil for you. Where God, I'm blanking right now. I've been talking for so goddamn long. Where if you just took the heist story and eliminated all of the Inception stuff and you had these characters, this still would have been a great movie. But adding on to the Inception concept, which is what makes this movie longer and better in my mind, I think the heist story is very cool, and where you got the Inception concept, where Cobb's character is trying to make it home back to his kids, who he hasn't seen in like in like years and all that. I think if they just eliminated the Inception concept and just kept the heist concept, this still would have been a fantastic movie. But I love the Inception concept where it's just a heist movie, and I love heist movies. Uh, but the genius Christopher Nolan, like you, how the fuck do you come up with this concept? Like a lot of these movies you see out there, you're like, I could probably make something like that. Like I mean, yeah, there are some movies out there where you actually could make yourself, but Inception, like someone just like, make this. Like you'd probably be like, I don't fucking know how to make this. I think the action in this movie is awesome. I love the action in this movie, and it's also kind of like a crime in a way, because some of Christopher Nolan's other movies, kind of like the Dark Knight trilogy in a way, don't have great action, but they do have really good action. But to me, the action in this movie is awesome. Like, especially the shootout scenes, like the part where they get Killian Murphy's character when they kidnap him in the cab, and then there's people after them, and they're like, trying to get out of the road, and then a train all of a sudden fucking comes in here and all that. The action in this movie is awesome. I really enjoyed the action. It's probably Christopher Nolan's best action in any movie he's done, really. If I'm being honest, that's what I think, anyways. I really love the action in this movie. It's great. It makes you grab your seat, like, oh god, hopefully they make it. I loved the action in this movie. I'm a sucker for action. If you're able to make great action with likable characters and great set pieces, then you earn my respect, basically. Probably not really anything for anybody, really. I'm not going to be talking about this yet. After I'm done giving you my rating, I will give you my own thoughts on the ending of this movie, so I will not spoil anything for you. But I thought the ending to this movie was really good, to where it makes you believe two different theories, which again I will talk about later. After my rating, I will talk about that. But I love it when a movie ends and it splits up the community, where everybody says like, oh, this really happened. He did this, and then but there's other people like, no, 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 no. I believe this happened. This is what happened, and all that. I love it when a movie does that, especially with The Thing. That's one of my favorite horror movies of all time, and it leaves you with a bleak ending. Like it can let you believe whatever you want to believe. That's what I love about that movie. But in this movie, it leaves you with a whole different ending. I know Christopher Nolan has come out with the Inception ending already, but I've not read that. I'm not ever going to read that. I don't really want to know the truth. But anyways, the ending to this movie was great, and it makes you like really divide. Like, oh, I could believe you if you said this, but I'm on this camp, which I will give you my thoughts on soon. The ending to this movie was great, and hopefully, hopefully I won't get in trouble for my theory. Well, guys, I really have no issues with this movie. This is a flawless movie. This is a great action movie. This is a great movie just in general. I really adored this movie. This is a movie I really looking forward to rewatching soon. This is a movie where you definitely have to go out and buy it. All right, with all that out of the way, this is my own personal theory on the ending of Inception, to where everybody's been saying that Leonardo DiCaprio's character Cobb, where this movie ends, where did he wake up or not? Because there's a sequence towards the end of the movie where his wife is in the limbo still, well, still alive, anyways. And he wants to stay there, but he's also looking for somebody else. I forget who he's looking for. But then he supposedly wakes up and he joins his kid. His kid, like he gets his ticket for a plane and flies home to his kids, but then he takes his totem and spins it on the table, but the movie just ends with it spinning still, and everyone's like, "Oh, did he wake up or did he not? Or did he wake up or didn't he wake up?" Now, this is my own personal theory. You do not have to agree with me. I do not expect you to agree with me, but this is my theory. Now, if you watch this movie closely, Leonardo DiCaprio's character Cobb wakes up in a plane, and if you were paying attention, that's where he that's where him and his group first fell asleep to get into Killian Murphy's head and into his dream. But then at the end of this movie, or after he succeeds what he's doing, he wakes up back on the same exact plane. But yet again, it could be the limbo messing with him or his own mind, which he could be dreaming, is where he could be still dreaming and he dreams that he's back on that plane. But here's the thing. He gets on a plane with the professor of this movie played by Michael Caine, who is the grandfather of his children. And if you pay attention, you can see in all the other scenes where they show off his children, we don't see their faces, but when you watch the ending of this movie, it shows the faces of his kids. To where in the dreams, he doesn't see his kids' faces because he has not seen them in a while, and he probably doesn't know what they look like. Maybe he got pictures from the grandmother that watches them, or maybe not. No, I don't really know. They don't explain that. We actually see their faces towards the end of the movie, but when you see all the dream sequences, they don't show them. And when you watch the movie, when he spins the totem, it spins and it's spinning and it's spinning. But before the movie ends, you can see it's about to tip over. But yet again, that could just be that's just kind of like messing up and just about to keep spinning. My theory is he woke up because I believe that the totem did fall down because you can see that it's about to fall down before the movie ends, and he woke up on the same exact plane when they all first fell asleep, and we got to see his kids' faces because in all the other dream sequences, we don't see his kids' faces, but in the end of the movie, we do. That is my own personal theory. I do not expect you to agree with me, and if you do agree with me, please let me know if you think there's anything else that he could have possibly woke up from, but that is my own personal thought. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you like this video, like it. If you love to subscribe, hit the bell notification so you will get notified for my latest videos. Please share this video, as always. Until next time, see ya.